Do you guys bethink that rumor that was activity about that Donald J. Trump the Admiral is like all over the Epstein files? Joe Rogan remembers now as a white, straight, 30-article male. I am genetically agreeable to affection Joe Rogan. I ability not generally accede with him politically or philosophically or spiritually or intellectually, but there's a loof article about watching a guy who knows about annihilation, about annihilation allocution, about aggregate, and aloof be like, whoa. You know, he's a ray of like the McDonald's Big Mac of my media diet. I don't accept him often, and it's usually afterwards I become bagged and I affliction it anon after. Speaking of beatitude though, y'all, I am hopped up on hopium today. Okay, because it looks like maybe aloof maybe the appropriate edition podcast ecosphere, of which Rogan is the Acme champion, ability not be absolution this accomplished Epstein affair get forgotten. They're aggravating absolute adamantin to get abroad with this one. I don't apperceive if the bodies are activity to forget. Aloof bodies are never activity to forget. The botheration is, do we accept any power? What do we do? What do you do? I mean, you absolutely can change the way you vote. Like, if it comes up again. But the botheration is this is a bipartisan issue. Bipartisan. It's I don't know, I heard as a Democratic hoax. Yeah, I don't anticipate that's true. How is this not all over the account appropriate now? Joe Rogan aloof, accepted to not assertive in something. This is the aforementioned guy who had Terrence Howard on his podcast to allocution about how 1 times 1 equals 2. It doesn't. 1 times 1 doesn't according to. 1 times 1 is 1 because it's 1 time. But now it takes Donald Trump to absolutely activate Joe Rogan's skepticism. Way to go, Joe. And additionally bark out to Jesse Wells, one of the few bodies out there, I think, who is authoritative, absolutely destructive art. So let's watch a little added of this chat amid Joe Rogan and adore the abatement sounds of Jesse's voice. But, well, it's absolutely not a hoax if you go to jail. Absolutely not a hoax if Ghislaine Maxwell's in Bastille too. So, like she's in Bastille for sex trafficking. Excuse me? She's in Bastille for sex trafficking. But the catechism is to who? Who is she? Who? You accept to be sex trafficking to someone. Somebody in adjustment to go to jail. Yeah. So who? How does that work? How? She's been in Bastille for years. So like how's that work? Is she attractive at a pardon? Are they gonna? I don't know, but they aloof confused her to addition prison. They moved. It's declared to be a nice Bastille as far as prisons. They move her to annihilate her. Could be. But I would. Why would you decay the money to move addition if you capital to annihilate them? I'm abiding they could annihilate her appealing easily. I don't. Okay, aboriginal of all. I adulation how Joe Rogan is talking about sex trafficking. Like he's cerebration of dabbling in it. Or like he's talking to somebody who does it at an airport bar. He's like, so how does it work? What do you? Area do you accelerate them? Area do you put them? Area do you area you? You gotta accelerate him somewhere, right? So what is it like? Is it what allotment time, abounding time or benefits? Apparently independent. Absolute arrangement you 1080 at the. Is it added of a 1080? You apparently accept to do another. It has to I beggarly you can't. How do you affirmation it a like aloof tax-wise? Aloof out of. I'm aloof curious. But whatever. Joe may be dumb, but he's not how Trump angle his own abject dumb. And that's an important distinction. However, Joe Rogan's reach, while massive, doesn't ability everybody. There are bodies who absolutely don't like Joe Rogan. In fact, there's a few of them. And so at Atomic Aback, it comes to the Berghal moms out there, the Berghal advanced Democrat moms who don't like Joe Rogan. Well, folks, that's why we accept Pete Buttigieg booty it away. Pete. He fabricated this big accord about I'm activity to appear in, and we're activity to absolution these on day one. There was that accident with Pam Bondi bouncing about the binders. I don't apperceive what the hell was in these binders, but they went so abundant added than aloof adage like, oh yeah, I'll do the appropriate affair on that. The aforementioned way he's saying like, I'm activity to accompany accord to the Middle East or whatever. Maybe alike his supporters didn't absolutely accept him on that. But on this, I anticipate they believed him because he said he would and created. A cardboard aisle for it. Yeah. And that accomplished worldview is based on this abstraction that there are able bodies who are complex with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was activity to action them. But we all apperceive for actuality that there were able bodies who were complex with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was one of them. This is not an arguable or complicated fact, cold statement. Yeah, and it's not aloof footage of them, like accepting their account taken calm someplace. It's footage of them like boring women with women. Dancing, you know? So you add all that together, and I think. And again his acknowledgement to the acknowledgement has appear how believing he wants to anticipate his own abject is. And I anticipate a lot of bodies attending at that and say, delay a minute, this is not aloof like you calumniating the libs, which, some of his supporters adventure to. It's his supporters saying, delay a minute, you're calumniating me. Some except argued that abundant of the adherents bestowed aloft Trump by his abject is. The artifact of the Democratic Party's disability to affix with the alive sheik in any elusive or absolute way, an allotment instead to attack on moral abstention and bookish elitism. But Buttigieg can't be an elitist. Attending at that beard. Yeah, that's a live man, Argent Fox. Actually, I do affectionate of anticipate of Rogan and Buttigieg as two abandon of the aforementioned coin. I accept austere criticisms of both of them, but I aloof can't advice but like them. And so a back the alpha adjustment like this, it's like a solar concealment area I become addled by my own admiration to just adhere out with them. I apperceive I'm not appreciative of it either, but it's who I am. Okay, but abundant daydreaming. This is an austere aphotic topic, so why don't we accompany an edition whose job isn't to just, allocution all day? Let's accompany an edition absolutely complex in the situation. How about Alicia Arden, an absolute survivor of Epstein, to apprehend what she has to say about Ghislaine Maxwell's contempo alteration to a altered prison? Well, I anticipate that she should be confused aback to the ability area she was, and that's area she's confined her time. Why should she be confused to a lower ability with not as abundant protection? And is it added abandon there? No. She should be confused aback to the one that she was at and served the 20 years there. She was bedeviled of sex trafficking of children. So why shouldn't she be there? And it's additionally interesting. I've consistently wondered, why is she the alone one currently in prison? And who are these added declared pedophiles? And should they be eventually confined their time if they allegedly were accomplishing article wrong? Or allegedly is like negatives. Like if you accept two of them, do they abolish anniversary added out? And it becomes like a you apperceive what I mean? Like if I allegedly blanket your car, again like, I for abiding apparently alleged, like I blanket your car. If I allegedly did it, point being, I anticipate that the bearing's actuality is such that anybody is seeing the autograph on the Bastille corpuscle walls. Area whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat or addition who is absolutely complex in the situation. Anybody is going, hey, why are you effective the adolescent sex baron to a nicer Bastille? While accepting affairs on account of the admiral because it looks weird. Allegedly. I accept that there is a flash and a nod, and that all parties accept what the ambition is here. And the ambition is to abstract from the Epstein files to actualize a gleam new article who has annihilation to lose added than absolution and clemency. She has every allurement to affirm agreeably for Donald Trump because he holds all the keys to her freedom. And this is addition who has been bedeviled of perjury. So there's a bright compassionate as to what she needs to do and what the accessible rewards are. And this alteration is aloof and adumbration of the ability that Donald Trump and Todd Blanche accept to be able to accolade her favorable testimony. That was Congressman Daniel Goldman anecdotic, what we're all seeing. And, isn't it nice that amidst all the anarchy in the Apple appropriate now, adventure as aphotic and adverse as this can absolutely accompany us all together? Allegedly. But it's like how Joe Rogan said, what can we alike do about it? This is like a cabal approach that's demography abode in ample daylight, area the alone acumen to agnosticism it is because of how audacious it is. We like to anticipate of cabal theories as demography abode in the shadows, but this administering seems to anticipate that they can't get bent with their pants down. So continued as they never call them up in the aboriginal place. So actuality is Michael Wolff with his adventure about what did booty abode in the colligiosity with Jeffrey Epstein. And like Donald Trump, it's not pretty. I apprenticed Epstein, I said these. You should absolution these pictures. If for no added reason, Epstein was already in agitation and already a amount of which bodies where he was already demonized. I said, maybe this will alike advice you. You can be on the ancillary of appropriate here. And I bethink Epstein said. Again, air-conditioned at the time, he said, I may be a pervert, but I'm not crazy. And again he said, Trump is a man after any scruples. Rubles. Now it's up to you whether you booty addition like Michael Wolff seriously. I alone acquisition, it admired to booty aggregate, he says with an atom of salt. That said, yeah, I'm starting to anticipate Jeffrey Epstein didn't annihilate himself. Yeah, that feels aloof, feels acceptable to say. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. But also, like, for sure, maybe he didn't. Right. Like, maybe he aloof didn't. And that's, and if he didn't, maybe that's article to absolutely affectionate of anticipate about, because this is bad for the Trump administering no amount how you allotment it. And by it I beggarly their Achilles heel. Because aback you accept bodies like Joe Rogan on the right, forth with all of these added bros in that podcast ecosystem who are regretting their votes. And you accept survivors of Epstein, and you accept absolute politicians and absolute journalists, all attractive at this one affair and going, hey, not alone is article activity on here, but you're alleviative us like we're stupid. Again, there is alone one cessation to draw, which is that the emperor does not accept any clothes. He is naked. And he shouldn't be. He shouldn't. He should put some clothes on. This administering needs to put some clothes on. And Trump needs to put the clothes because anybody can see him. You apperceive what I mean? This is like an act. This is the emperor's clothes. I was cerebration of the Disney scene there for a second. Emperor's new groove. This is like the emperor's new clothes, except it's grosser because we all saw the South Park episode. And that wasn't art. Or that wasn't activity assuming art. That was art assuming life. He doesn't accept any clothes on, and it's acceptable, abundantly apparent. It's absolutely transparent, if you anticipate about it, because of that's because you can see too much. It's like appear on man, you guys acclimated to be so abundant bigger at lying anyway. I don't know, I'm blubbering and absolve me. Let me apperceive what you anticipate allegedly is activity on in the comments. Allegedly, and I will see you a budding week. I am cutting clothes, by the way, because my wife says I adduce unquote.